Eddie House broadcasting for the Celtics. They're in Portland. So I'll give you an example, because I'm always viewed as a Tatum hater, and I do think he's a great player. I'd love to have him in the franchise, top 8, 9 player in the league. I love him. But there was a moment against Cleveland, and this is what drives me nuts. They set a pick. The team tells him, walk it up the floor. It's your game. Darius Garland off a pick is 6'1". He's 6'8". And he settles for a 13-foot fall away. And my take is, that's what drives me nuts. You can't settle for that shot. Now, isn't that a fair criticism?
No, if you really look at that play, the spacing was horrible. Like, I felt like their late game execution in that particular game wasn't on point. Jaylen Brown walking behind him. Look at that spacing right there. There's no Jared Allen is helping. He's taking a shot virtually over 2 people with one guy behind him. So I don't blame that on Jason Tatum taking that shot. I blame that on the late game execution, the spacing of that team right there. And I'm going to live with Jason Tatum taking a shot 10 out of 10 times. You want to talk about that you don't think that he's clutch and in these last moment situations. Well, there hasn't been too many this year, right? They've been in 29 close games. They're 19-10. I think I would take that, okay? They're 6th best in the NBA history with margin of victory at 10.9 right now. So they're really not in that many situations where they are close games. Now, we could be prisoners of the moment to where those 2 situations, he had a chance against the Denver game to knock down a 3. He had a chance against Cleveland to win the game in both of those games. Shot don't go in, make or miss league, right? But we're not talking about regular season. When you talk about a clutch player, Colin, can I ask you, when you think about a clutch player, you expect him to show up in the playoffs.
Right.
Right or wrong?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Okay. And so that's how Playoff Jimmy got his name, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So let me riddle off some numbers. Let me riddle off some numbers to you. So last year in the playoffs, Jason Tatum, true shooting percentage, account of field goals, account of 3-point field goal, and also free throws. He was 66%. He ranked 5th, and it was 15 players took at least 10 field goals in clutch moments, right? He ranked 5th amongst them. You want to know who he was in front of? He was in front of Jimmy Butler at 7. He was in front of Jamal Murray at 9. He was in front of Steph Curry at 10. He was in front of Jokic at 13. And he was in front of LeBron at 15. So, I mean, I don't know, this narrative that they're trying to create for Jason Tatum, I don't think it's fair. And he's a young player. He just turned 26. We got to also take that into account. When did all the greats start becoming great? It was never when they was 19, 20, 21, 22. It was always after they had been in the league a while and understood exactly what it took to win basketball games. So the notion that he's not clutch, I think is just somebody. It's just a false narrative against him.
I will say this though: in the history of the league, there are these players: Wilt in his prime, Kareem, MJ, LeBron, and I think Duncan and Jokic. There's really no answer. Shaq for about 6 years. There's literally no answer. I think Boston could end up being the 2nd best team in the league for the next 6 years. I look at Jokic and his efficiency. Eddie, I don't think he doesn't have off nights. I think we're looking at, historically, one of the most efficient players. And I mean, there's a combination here of the Duncans and the Shaqs. How do you I think Boston's the 2nd best team in the league. I don't know how you beat Jokic in Denver. I think he's unbeatable down the stretch. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll say this. The 2 games they played against Boston, the first game was in the Garden, and that was the game that they stopped a home game win streak of like 21 straight that the Celtics had, right? And so I'm there live, and that was my first time seeing Jokic live. Nobody gives him credit for how quick his first step is. Everybody thinks that he plays slow, but that's just the way he lures you to sleep. That's why a lot of the big fellas, they can't sag off because he'll shoot the shot. They don't want to get too close because his first step is impeccable. It's a lot quicker, a lot faster, and he's so smart. His basketball IQ is through the roof. The thing about what he brings to the table is steadiness, and everybody around him, he's very similar to like how LeBron had been the system a lot of times in Cleveland. He has the right pieces around him. You put Aaron Gordon at dunker spot, you're going to have hell to pay if you don't put a body on him while Jokic is going to work. If you want to come doubling, then you got Jamal Murray that's able to go to work, and you got other guys, Porter Jr. that stepped up, is able to knock down the shot. Jokic is the best player in the league, hands down, and it's not even close to me. There's a big gap between Jokic and the next best player in the league just because what he brings to his team.
Yeah.
You look at his teammates, Jamal Murray, he took over that game when they played the Celtics in the fourth quarter. And then the last game that they played, it was Aaron Gordon. It was off of passes of Jokic. It was off of coming off the dunker spot, rebounding the basketball. They're a complete team. They find ways to win the basketball game, and that's all you look for if you are a team. We got to just find ways to win no matter what it is. And I think he's a selfless player as well. So when you have your superstar being a selfless player, that trickles down to the rest of the guys.
So I've been saying this. I've been critical. You know this. I've been critical of the Lakers, even though we live in Los Angeles, and I go to occasional games. But then about a year and a half ago, I don't know if it was diet. I don't know if it's workout. Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt anymore. Outside of Giannis's freakish athletic ability and Jokic's offense, he may be the best big in the game. He's now healthy. I mean, last night was another clinic. I think the Lakers, I've seen them beat OKC, Boston, Minnesota, Clippers here in the last 15, 17 games, and I even think they match up with Denver, though I don't think they'll beat them. Is this finally, this rarely happens, a Laker team that's actually a little undervalued? Size, experience, AD, Reeves is a good complementary player. How do you view, as somebody that's seen him this year, how do you view this Laker team?
I think the Lakers go as LeBron James, number one. We know he has to be there. He has to be healthy. Also, Anthony Davis. If you get that version of Anthony Davis. And then D'Lo. I really believe D'Lo, his inconsistency this year. You'll see a game where he'll go for 30 plus, and then he'll have a game where he'll have 12 in the first half and only 2 in the second half. And to me, those are really key. You can't have inconsistencies with your main guys that you're relying on in the playoffs. And Anthony Davis, for as great as he was last night, we expect to see that every single night, and he just doesn't bring it. And it's not 25 rebounds, but 25 points, 12 rebounds, 13 rebounds, things like that. I also believe that Austin Reeves is a great ancillary player. He's not going to be a guy who is going to take you to the promised land if you need to lean on him night in and night out. So you need the guys to step up like D'Lo, but be consistent with it. You need Austin Reeves to be consistent. You need LeBron to be healthy, AD to be healthy and playing their best brand of basketball. It's been some games where I look at AD, and if he's playing a bigger body, it seems like he has an issue with bigger guys. But definitely, obviously, a top 75 talent, one of the best players in the league. But at the end of the day, it all is about consistency. And this team just hasn't been consistent throughout the year. And yeah, they haven't been healthy, but most of the time it's the ancillary players that ain't been healthy. Where the main guys have to step up. And in the playoffs, that's what it's always going to lean on. Your main guys have to be there.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.